G'day folks, it's Phil from 50 Minute Guitar Practice here. Today we're going to look at a Gary Moore style solo. Now I say Gary Moore style because it's not a note for note transcription, but it is heavily based around Gary Moore's live performance of Since I Met You Baby from his Blues Alive live album. So let's check it out. So the opening phrase of the solo sounds like this. So essentially this is position 2 of the C minor pentatonic. And so we're starting with sliding in from nowhere into the 13th fret of the B string. Then we move to 11 on the top E. And then we play 13 on the top E like multiple times with various levels of bending. So start the first 4 with a small bend, and the next 4 with a full bend, and then continue. As you go through that, also, as you get to the full bend, start to dig in more with the pick and be a bit more aggressive. So you get something like... You want to know how many of these bends we're doing. We're doing 8, 9, 10, 11 of them. So, from the top we're going 1, 2, 3, 4 half step bends. And then the rest are full step bends. 5, 6, 7, 8, dig in, 9, 10, 11. And then we're playing 11 on the E string. 13 pulling off, or 13 played twice on the B string. And then pulling off the 10. So slowly that would be... Next phrase is my favourite of the whole solo, it's this. Just great. Thank you, Gary. So it starts with this phrase. Which is played 3 times. The first 2 times are identical, and the third time has a slight tweak to it as it descends. Okay, so let's deal with the first phrase that is repeated twice. So we're playing 8, 9, and 10 on the B string. 8, 10 on the top E. Then we're playing 10 again and doing like a hammer pull from 10 to 11, pulling off to 10, pulling off to 8. Playing 10 on the B. And lastly, 8 on the E. So that whole phrase is... And then we take that whole thing and we play it one more time. And so the trick is to get that second half of that phrase, where does the hammer pull, to fit in time. Because if you play it kind of straight, it sounds not like it fits. There's too many notes. So you have to kind of get to the... You want to try and get to that. To fit those notes in. You also want to add a little bit of palm muting to the first 3 notes. So it's more like... And then for the third time we play it, it's kind of tweaked at the end as we start to descend. So we play this. Okay, not sure I played that particularly well there, but we start with 8, 9, and 10 on the B string, and the 8, 10 on the top E as we did before, and the hammer pull 10, 11, 10, 8. But this time, instead of returning to 10 on the B string, we're playing 11 on the B string, and then 8 on the top E, and then we're descending, pulling off 11 to 8 on the B string, 11 on the G string, back to 8 on the B, and then pulling off 11, 10, 8 on the G string, 10 on the D and 8 on the G, then 10, 8 just on the D string, and then 10, 9, 8, 7 on the A string. And then lastly landing on 10 of the D string with some vibrato. Also, the palm muting, once again, plays more of a part as you start to head down. Because so far you played those first two phrases with a little bit of palm muting on the first three notes of 8, 9, and 10. By the third phrase, it's kind of a bit more open, and you reintroduce the palm muting as you get kind of onto the G string really. So let me just play that slowly. So 3, 4. Then we move position to the 5th fret on the G string, and we play this. Okay, so we're playing 5 and 8 on the G, then playing 6 on the B string, and then we're doing this thing where we bend up 5 a half step, and then we play 6 immediately after. So and then we move to 8 and do a full bend up and down. Play 5 twice. On the G string, and I actually play a da-da-da-da, 1, 2, 3, 4 at the end. So you might want to add a harmonic there at the end. Depending how rock and roll you're feeling at the time. So for the next bit, we're moving up the fretboard to the 15th fret, and we're kind of returning to the motif that started the song itself. This is a motif that Gary returns to several times at different parts of each of the solos in the song. This section sounds like this. And then we're just going to vary the timing and placement of that. And again, that repetitive bending that has featured in previous bars of the solo so far. So, starts with 15, short note, and then bending 15 up 1.5 steps. So it sounds like this note on the 18th fret. Starting with 15, then bending 15 up 1.5 steps, then pulling off 15 to 13, and playing 16 and 13 on the B string. Then 14 on the G string, and then 16 on the B string and slide off. Next, we play the phrase again, but just slightly differently, and not beginning with that short note of 15, but straight into the 1.5 tone bend. This time, we've added a note in there. So we're playing the bend up 15, 1.5 steps, 15 pulling off to 13 on the top A, 16 on the B string and 13 on the B string, 14 on the G, then the two notes at the end are 13 and 16. So those two pieces together would be 1, 2, 3. So the next phrase is basically alternating between bending the 15th fret of the top E 1.5 steps and just playing that same note without bending. So we bend it up first and then we play the note. And we do this 6 times. When we get to the 6th bend, we descend with some more notes. Okay, so we get to that, but after the 6th note, after the 6th bend, we play 15 and 13 on the E, and then playing 15 on the B string, bend it up half step. Then play 15 and 13 on the B, down to the G string at 14. And then we're back on 15 of the B string, bending it up a semitone. 13 and 14. And 15 on the top E string. So it's a kind of chromatic walk up, then back to 15 on the B string with a half step. Bend up, and then 2 notes played at the 13th fret of the B string. So that whole thing would be as follows. 1, 2, 3. The end of the solo, we end with this lick. So Gary actually plays this several times to kind of wind up the last bit of the bar throughout the song. Okay, so this is 8 and 9 on the G string, hammering on. 8 and 8 on the B and the E string. Then pulling off 11 to 8 on the B. Pulling off 11, 10, 8 on the G string, down to 10 on the D string, and then hammering on 8 to 9 on the G string, down to 10 on the D, and 2 hits of the A string at 10 also. Some vibrato. So that slowly would be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. You can grab the things you need, the tab, the chord charts in the description below. And if you've enjoyed this lesson, then give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know how you're doing, and I will see you next time. This is Phil from 15 Minute Guitar Practice, saying bye for now. Cheers.